I've been in this business for about almost 30 years now, and I just got to give you some wisdom. Your approach in your email is quite unprofessional.
Hey guys, it's Ruby and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is a super important topic, and so I have a lot to say and a lot of examples to give. So we're just gonna jump right in. The topic for today's video is photography scams. It is so important that any photographer knows about these types of scams and how to detect them and what to do if you get contacted by a scammer. I'm just gonna share examples that I have personally encountered, but that's not to say that there are not other scams out there that exist. Always be vigilant. You'll get to a point where you can pretty easily recognize a scam, but I am going to tell you guys a story about a time that I was scammed out of $600, and as embarrassing as it is, it's something that I think is really important to share because it could happen to anybody. Alright, so let's get right into it. The first scam that I'm going to talk about is one of the more common scams, and they're pretty easy to detect. They usually come in the form of a text message. One of the more common ones nowadays is somebody texting and asking about family reunion photography. I've gotten that one a lot of times, and I just don't even engage with these people anymore, but there was one instance where I got one of these text scams about a wedding, and I engaged with him a little bit just to kind of see what would happen. So it went a little something like this. He texts me, "Hello, this is Richard. Do you still offer wedding photography service? Sent from iPhone." I respond, "Absolutely," but the text comes up as green, so I know he's not texting me from an iPhone, or else it would have been blue. So that was just kind of like the first red flag. I already pretty much knew this was a scam because it is very evident that I am a wedding photographer. It's all over my website, it's all over my Instagram. That is what I market myself as, so nobody really should be needing to ask me if I do wedding photography, but anyways, he responds back, "Great, thank you so much for getting back. I will need you to photograph my wedding and take shot of portraits, candid and group photos during the time of the reception and the ceremony. I would also need a photo album of some photos that was shot when the event starts and ends, but I need all the pictures to be delivered through a link where it can be downloaded for us. I hope all this are within what you can handle." So there's a lot of grammatical errors. It's just a lot of information right off the bat. So I tell him that he needs to send me an email, fill out my contact form online, and we can discuss it further. So he says he will, and he does. Like almost immediately, I get his inquiry through Honeybook, where he kind of fills out the fields, but they're kind of weird, and I send him the packages and the pricing guide, and he responds immediately that he wants to book the largest package that I have available. And once again, you know, red flag, like it's pretty rare that somebody would go from getting in touch with me to booking me that quickly with like no back and forth, no discussion about my style or anything at all, no questions. You know, I already know this is a scam, but I go online to look up the address that he provided for the wedding day, and it was a home for sale on Zillow. So obvious scam. I tell him that I'm gonna close the inquiry and that I know that it's a scam. So with these types of scammers, you might be wondering, well, what exactly are they getting out of this? Like they wanna send you money, like they wanna book you. But what happens is one of a couple of things. It's either like a chargeback with a credit card or some sort of check fraud. So if you carry on the conversation, which I've never done, but I've looked into it and I've talked with other photographers just to kind of like figure out what exactly it is that they're after. What they do is they say, okay, like I want to book your highest package, and they'll send you the money for more than the amount that they needed to, and they ask you to pay other vendors for them. If you don't know any better, you go and you pay these other vendors, and they either withdraw that credit card payment, or the check winds up being fraudulent and your bank doesn't figure it out in time and you are out of money, and whoever it is that were their vendors are, you know, getting this money, it's probably them. These are pretty easy to avoid. You should never, ever, ever be paying for the vendors for your client. As a new photographer, it might not be something that you would even notice, or you're so happy to have a client, you're so happy to have a booking that you're like, sure, like yeah, I'll do that, like whatever. Seems normal. It's not normal. Never ever pay for somebody else's vendors. Okay, so the next scam that I want to talk about is the fashion shoot email scam. I have only had this scam come into my inbox a couple of times, but the first time it actually fooled me. So I got an email, it was submitted through my online form, and it said, "Hi, I came across your website online while searching for a fashion photographer. Your work seems impressive. I'm looking for an experienced photographer to work with me on an ongoing fashion article for Family Circle / All Recipe magazine. Get back to me if interested. Regards, Cheryl." Regards, Cheryl Brown. So I was immediately like, hell yeah, a magazine, like All Recipes, Family Circle, like that's a huge magazine. What an amazing opportunity. The English was good, you know, it seemed kind of legit because I had worked for a magazine before and I had done fashion photography before. So I immediately responded and I was like, totally interested, you know, I love fashion photography, let me know if there's anything else you need from me and I hope we can chat more soon. She responds back with this huge email telling me that like there's gonna be models and hairstylists and all of these looks and that I would have complete creative direction of the shoot, and it tells me like, you know, a decent chunk of money that they're gonna pay me, and I'm like thinking, okay, like, you know, it's kind of weird that they would give me full creative control of the shoot. I respond back and I'm just kind of like asking some questions. I go on Facebook and a photographer who I had just become friends with on Facebook posts on their page saying, oh my god, we just got contacted by All Recipes to do like an ongoing project for them. Like, oh my god, this is so crazy. I'm like, well that's kind of interesting. She lives nearby to me and like maybe they're just looking for like a few different people. But I'm like, why would they be like looking to do a fashion shoot with a photographer from Maine? So I started to look into it a little bit more. I am not really familiar with All Recipes magazine, so I look up Cheryl Brown, who is the editor-in-chief, and I know for a fact that there's no way that the editor-in-chief is looking for photographers and like setting up photo shoots. Another major red flag was that it came from Cheryl Brown at allrecipes.org, which is not right. Allrecipes.org was not a real website. A similar thing is happening with this, where they would send you the money and probably ask you to pay the models, pay the hairstylist with the money that they overpaid you with, and then next thing you know, the fraudulent money is no longer in your bank account and you are out a couple hundred or a couple $1,000s for paying these other people. So pretty easy to detect once you get further into the conversation. With something so exciting, you know, it'd be really easy for somebody who is newer to the game to maybe not realize that that's not how things work when you work with magazines. Thankfully, I worked with magazines before and I was like, this is just not really sitting well with me. Plus that Facebook post was just not sitting well with me either. I reached out to the other photographer, just being like, I just want to let you know that this is definitely a scam. I posted it in some local groups just warning people, and other people had gotten the same email that lived in the area. Always gotta be vigilant. If it sounds too good to be true, probably is. It just sucks. It's a blow to the ego for sure. But these types of scams are super common and definitely easily avoidable. The best thing you can do is just not interact with these people at all. You can report the numbers and the emails if you want to. Most of all, just, you know, ignore it, don't interact. Okay, so I want to end this video with a little story about a time that I was scammed out of a $600 payment for a video shoot. I get a message in my inbox from a photographer who I had worked with once before, just being like, hey, is it okay if I refer you to this guy for a video project? And I was like, yeah, sure. Like, I was fresh out of college and I didn't have like a ton of work, and I was like, yeah, I'll do like a video project, why not? A couple hours later, I get a phone call from this guy, and we chat for a while, and he's talking about how there's this model that he knows that lives like, you know, kind of close by to where I was living in Massachusetts, and that she's like so beautiful. I mean, he just like won't stop talking about how beautiful she is, and I'm like, okay. Anyways, he has connections with some people over at Tastemade or Tastemakers, or, you know, some food blog type of situation, and that he is in the talks of like doing this cooking show, and this model he knows is an amazing like cake maker and like cookie designer, and they want to do sort of like a test shoot to see if she would be good for this cooking show. Yeah, like I can do that. It's a little bit out of my wheelhouse. I definitely don't mind giving it a shot. And he's like, okay, like how much would you charge for something like this? Like just being that it's, you know, not like really your forte. You know, maybe like $500 for the project. And he was like, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Good. We're only talking on the phone at this point, like nothing's in writing. And he's like, no, we need to do this ASAP. Like this needs to happen on Thursday. And like it's Tuesday or something at this point. Yeah, like that's fine, I'm free. I go to my old school, talk to one of my old professors, just being like, hey, like I need to borrow some gear, is that okay? They hook me up with some microphones. I'm in contact with the model a little bit. She's really awesome. She's got her friend's house that we're borrowing, this nice kitchen, and we spend like an entire day shooting this super fancy cookie making tutorial. And like I had a great time with this woman. Not like a whole lot of interaction with the man that contacted me. Overall, like I had a good time, and it didn't like come across as sketchy. The model was really sweet, you know, she was a mom. I kind of chickened out on sending a contract over to this guy. I don't know, I felt kind of like he was in control of the situation, not me. I was super inconsistent with it at that point. Now, you know, I just stress contracts so much after this incident happened. Back to the story. So that night, I chat with him on the phone. He like asked how it went. I was like, yeah, like it went great. The next day, I'm like, the footage looks great. I invoice him and he calls me and he was like, this is not how things work with video shoots. You don't get paid until I know that the footage looks good. And I'm like thinking, well, that doesn't really seem right, but like I'm feeling so belittled that I'm like, oh, okay, like I didn't know. I cut together a little section, like a 5-minute section of the video, and I sent it over to him, and he's like, wow, that footage looks amazing. You know, we'll process your invoice like net 30 days. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, so like I gotta kind of figure out how I'm gonna get all this footage from you. I mean, I have like a large amount of footage. I can't just easily send it in an email. And he's like, go out, buy a hard drive, mail it to this address, and I'll reimburse you for everything. Just put it on the invoice and I'll add on another $100 for the trouble. So at this point, you know, we're up to $600, plus I have to get reimbursed for the hard drives that I bought and the shipping. And so I send this stuff along. So over 30 days go by and I'm like wondering where my money is. I'm about to move out of my apartment and I'm like sending him text messages, sending him emails. Hey, like here's my new address. Make sure that you send the money to this address. No responses whatsoever. I continue to send him emails, starting to get a little frustrated, wondering where my money is. He calls me and he leaves me this incredibly rude voicemail.
I've been in this business for about almost 30 years now, and I just got to give you some wisdom. Your approach in your email is quite unprofessional. We're talking about business here. I'm not a relative or a friend owing you money. This is business, and the check goes out today, okay? That's the confirmation. So I thank you for your service. I apologize for it. I think it may be a week late. If not, the footage was adequate, and you'll be getting your check probably by Tuesday, okay?
And I'm just starting to feel more and more sketched out. I'm feeling hurt, I'm feeling embarrassed. I decided to kind of look into things a little bit more, and he, you know, apparently runs this like marketing agency in LA. And the website looks really good, but it's only a couple pages. There's not a lot of information on there at all. No reviews, but like examples of projects that they've done with like Coca-Cola and all these huge name brands. And I'm just like, this doesn't seem legit. I get in contact with the model. Hey, like scammed me out of all this money, like I've never gotten paid. And she was like, oh yeah, I mean, he seemed like he kind of dropped off the face of the earth. I haven't heard from him in weeks. I even get in contact with the guy that referred me, and I come to find out he didn't even really know him that well. He had only met him like one time, and he's all upset. He's sending the guy Instagram messages, and I hear back from him that day just being like, oh, like your money is coming. It'll be there next week. And I'm like, okay. I'm checking my mail every single day. Another week and a half goes by, don't have my money. I go to send him a text message being like, where's my money, dude? And he's blocked my phone number. I was desperate for work. I was really excited about this potential huge opportunity. And because of that, I really let my guard down. I let my standards down. I didn't cover all of my bases, and I let this person walk all over me. And you know, they didn't get any money out of me. They got all of this content for free, and who knows what they did with it. but I never got paid, and I went through a lot of trouble and a lot of stress. You know, he never followed through with his end of the bargain. I had nothing in writing. Most of our conversations happened over the phone. And so, you know, it was really embarrassing for me, and I felt like I couldn't really even say anything. You know, I couldn't post about it online bashing this person because I didn't know if they would come after me for slander or come after me for libel or anything like that. And it was just it was an upsetting experience for sure that I just like don't want it to happen to anybody. So that is my little story about the time I got scammed out of $600. Photography scams are everywhere. And once you have come into contact with a few scammers, they're pretty easy to detect. But especially if you are a newer photographer, make sure you are thoroughly reading through any inquiries that you get. If something seems off, it probably is. Look out for bad grammar, wishy-washy clients, people who are really quick to book you at your highest package. Look up addresses if things seem off, and never ever pay another vendor for your client. Always have a contract in place, make sure there's something in writing, and you should be getting at least a portion of your payment before any services are provided. Getting caught up in a scam is so embarrassing, it's so disheartening, and it can happen to anyone. It happened to me, it could happen to you. Just be super vigilant and super careful. If you've experienced a scam, I would love it if you posted it down in the comments so that other people can be aware of new scams that are coming out all of the time. If you loved this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, sign up for the notifications. New videos come out every single Tuesday. That's all for now. I will see you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching.